Oh, he dropped an easy pass today. I was so mad at Mike Evans. Chiefs took the lead.
Oh,
That don't help me out defensively. Throw another interception, Mahomes. Throw a pick six or something. Oh, yeah, Jeff Wilson Jr. leading the team in rushes. Kelsey 2 yards away from 100.
hit you with the drop.
Damn, if I win this, I'll be 4-3. I think I should be good. He got Hunter Henry tomorrow. I got
You son of a bitch.
David Mills got to keep it up, though. I can't believe we got the
Hit you with the drop kick, Marty Jannetty. No, I hit you with the drop kick, Marty Jannetty. No, I hit you with the drop kick, Marty Jannetty. No, I hit you with that drop kick, Marty Jannetty.
Let me do this again.
Oh, it's live, pal.
I like. You ready? Hello there, buddy. Welcome to the latest edition of Hot Tag Wrestle Corner.
Can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I got you.
I'm one half of your host, Rob.
I'm Clint.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into it because we got to cram this one in today and we got a lot to talk about. So let's start off with the news. Let's start with a funny story. Ric Flair calls out Joe Rogan for criticizing the figure four. So Joe Rogan on his recent show has said, quote,
Called him out for us on that last match.
said, quote, the move doesn't work. So if someone's setting up a figure four, you're literally giving up an inside heel hook, Rogan says.
Oh, God.
It's kind of
I
funny.
don't want to hear no
In that regard that, you know, you're also doing this thing in the real world. That's the worst thing you could do.
He MMAing it up. That's what he's trying to do.
Ric Flair responded and said, at Joe Rogan, quote, you're getting a lot of attention for calling me out. The only way to resolve this is to have me on the show. I'll put you in the figure four leg lock and we'll see if you can take it. LFG. Woo!
Yeah, he reverse out that shit so quick.
Let's fucking go. Woo!
No. He's trying to still get wrestling match because, you know,
Because he old as fuck?
Yeah. Sorry, Nate.
I love you, buddy.
You bought this on yourself.
Start wrestling. So, Triple H, since he sees how much heat that this guy has brought to AEW, said, sure, I'll bring CM Punk back. At the bottom line, he's about the money. Plus, once that happens, you instantly start getting people on the internet saying, was CM Punk a sleeper agent in AEW?
I read that same report. They said he'll consider it more than Vince. But Vince ain't believing Punk the first time around. But, I mean, I'm Triple H. Stay away from him.
Thunder Rosa hoping for January return to address the criticism that has been upon her being champion while hurt. Thunder Rosa recently fired back at those who criticized her for making her main AEW Women's Title World Champion while out with injury. Gave an update while she might return or when she might return. Rose is currently a champion while Tony Storm is an interim champion. And Storm recently said in an interview that she's looking forward to facing Rosa. That I think has been bothering a lot of people because she still calls herself the AEW Women's Champion. I'm the one every week doing the work. End quote. Rosa addressed the situation on Busted Open Radio recently, saying, quote, on the complaint she's still World Women's Champion. Tony Storm had something to say about Thunder Rosa and the interim championship. I really wanted to address this because it's become to my attention, not necessarily from the people at the place where I work, but some veterans that have informed me that there is a widespread of lies going on in different parts, and I'm the part of these rumors. When I read the content about the interim championship, or the comments about the interim championship, it came to me as no surprise. I have not been in national TV for the last 2 months. My name's being mentioned for good or bad. First month and a half was a lot of former. A lot of controversy around Thunder Rosa and what Thunder Rosa was or was not doing. First, with people diminishing my line of work. It is interesting because I'm Latina and for a long time I tried to stay away from it. But it's time for me to say something about my work. As a Latina, I work very hard to make my name for myself, and I am not a second generation wrestler. I'm self-made. I have a great chance to work in many companies, and they believe in my work. Sometimes it takes one privileged person or someone with clout to like your tweet and destroy everything you have done. It influenced how fans see you and perceive you as a wrestler. A couple weeks ago, we talked about how one of my coworkers had come out and had to do a live feed. You don't hear it from me, just don't say anything. If you're in the back and you're in distress about me and the champion or being called the champion, I don't call the shots. I have a boss, and there's a booker in our office that makes these decisions. If you're distraught about what's being booked, maybe you should talk to the booker and keep my name out of your mouth. End quote.
Thunder Rosa?
I'll leave that one there.
Yeah, stop being so stiff in the ring then. I'll leave that at that.
AEW reportedly negotiating a buyout with CM Punk's contract. It's reported from Sam Ross Sapp of Fightful. Quote, there's suggestions from people close to AEW most immediately following the brawl out that came from that CM Punk would eventually the brawl following All Out. He called it brawl out. That CM Punk would eventually get a buyout. I didn't know that it was in the works that far back, but a lot of people saw that was a likely scenario.
Or did he just come to prove a point, basically? Like, he still can draw?
I guess. I don't know. I'm going to say that one.
He's not hurting him. He just hurting himself in the long run.
Associated with that, Ace Steel's finally fired. Reported.
They finally fired him.
This is back from October 20th. Fired from AEW following involvement in the brawl out after All Out we were just talking about. This is from user on FR4 Fight for Wrestling Online, F4W online boards. Noted that Steele had been tweeted out freedom, which seemed to suggest he knew it was coming. Dave Meltzer, however, replied no. He actually thought the opposite and was surprised that he got fired. I don't know how you been surprised when you took the chair the guy and bit somebody. That's not proper work decorum, bro. I'm gonna save that one too.
Then they got me like, you bit a man. You bit a man. You thought your job was safe after you bit a man?
So Hangman Page got a concussion after this week's main event. During this week's main event on AEW Dynamite, which is on Tuesday this week. It looked like it sustained it somewhere with a blow that came around the left side of his neck or upper jaw. Even though it wasn't direct impact to the head that caused the concussion, the amount of whiplash you sustain is enough for the brain to move back and forth and for the skull to give you what's called a counter-coup type of injury that certainly causes a concussion without the direct head trauma. That's one doctor's opinion of the situation. But Hangman said he's doing right. After the show, they talked to him, though he was stretchered out after the match. He remains in AEW's concussion protocol, so he's not going to come back until he's good. I recently heard Adam Cole should be coming back soon and should be okay. We learned about Ace Steel, his release, as I said. Trying to see some more about anybody else involved with the situation. All parties involved in the situation now are more in contact with AEW than they were before. It was said Punk's involved in a buyout. Potential returns for the Elite haven't exactly been talked about. It's kind of been left vague, but it's expected, though, that they'll be coming back soon. IWGP Women's Title Tournament has recently set up. I was about to say, that's bad timing for that. I wasn't trying to dog the IWGP. I know. Sorry. Rest in peace, Inoki, again. Stardom held the semifinals for the IWGP Women's Title Tournament at one night of Goddesses of Stardom's Tag League 2022. Mayu Iwatani defeated your girl Utami Hayashishida, and Kyrie defeated Jazzy Gabert. Iwatani beat Kyrie, and Iwatani and Kyrie will face each other in the historic X-Over. Sorry, not gonna work for in the historic X-Over New Japan versus Stardom. I guess it's a pay-per-view on November 20th to crown the first ever champion.
I'm watching on the late side, and that's Japan time. It's gonna be like early in the morning.
And it looks like how I like the design of the belt. It looks kind of like how the old New Japan World Title used to look
That
when
is a nice design.
Shinsuke first won it back when he was like fucking 20 some young 20s. That's kind of how it looks to me. So it's interesting. So that's you got Kyrie back out here doing her thing. Interesting. I'm here to Mayu Wanatani. She was in AEW for a match or two at one point in time, a year or two ago. So that should be interesting. All right, my last two stories, hustling through here before we get to yours. AEW video engineer passes away suddenly, and GoFundMe has been launched. A man by the name of Brian Muster, who worked as a lead engineer for AEW since 2019, passed away suddenly yesterday. The story is from October 20th. GoFundMe has been launched to help support his fiance and two children. Top donations include two from Tony Khan, one for 15K and one for 10K, another one for 10K from Jericho, Darby Allin, Malachi Black, and more. In less than 24 hours, GoFundMe Army has hit over $75,000 and currently sits at $76,647,000. The message that went associated with this morning, we lost an amazing person who made the world a better place. Brian Muster passed away this morning very unexpectedly. He leaves behind a fiance and two young children. Brian worked on so many shows over the years. In the last 3 years, he was an integral part of creating a look for AEW by working as the lead video game engineer ever since the very first show. I traveled the world with Brian from Europe to Asia to India and subcontinent, and he will always make you smile with his personality and smile and joy for life. He was blessed to watch. I was blessed to watch him grow from a teenager just getting into the business of TV and one of the elite video engineers in the country. And all who have met Brian loved Brian or loved him. He will be dearly missed, and I hope you'll find some time to say a prayer and or make a donation of any size to this fund to provide some financial support for his family and their future. Thank you for your time, Greg Warner. R.I.P. Brian Muster. Before we give our moment of silence for him, we have one more to add to the Gangster Lean. Kevin Nash's son has passed away at just the age of 26 years old. This report is from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. This was announced also on October 20th. His son's name was Tristan. No cause of death has been noted. Tristan and his father were reportedly working together on his Click This podcast. Full statement. Quote from Sean Ross Sapp: on behalf of Kevin Nash and Tamara Nash, I have unfortunately reported their son Tristan Nash has tragically passed away at the age of 26. Tristan recently worked on Kevin Nash's new podcast, and to enjoy their time together, the Nash family asks you to please respect their privacy during this time. So with that, real quickly, before you get into yours, give a quick moment of silence for both of those two gentlemen, Brian Muster and Tristan Nash, who have both passed on. Something we have to do too often here in the show. All right, let's get into your side before we get into the shows.
Yeah, it's been a bad month between then Sarah Lee and Noki. Just been a rough wrestling.
Man, all facets, all type of people dying. You gotta think. Then we started off the month with like Coolio dying, and it's just been downhill from there. Do I did he? Oh, that ain't his song. My bad.
Oh.
It could have been.
Oh Lord. Anyway, updates on three major players of the WWE Women Division. Charlotte Flair, who is scheduled to return soon. Of course, she's been away ever since she lost her women's SmackDown Women's Championship to Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania Backlash on May 8th. Then, of course, we all know she got married to Andrade El Idolo. And then she had to go underwent a minor procedure herself. She's currently on the SmackDown roster right now, but rumors are that they're probably going to bring her over on the Raw. We're not sure. Becky Lynch, who was also close to returning after her shoulder injury. She suffered her shoulder injury, I want to say, after SummerSlam. And they read off on TV by her getting jumped by Damage Control. She was on St. Paul, Minnesota. I want to say it's Minnesota, I think. A couple weeks ago, backstage for the Raw there. And that's mainly because Seth Rollins is also there, too. So she's scheduled to return too. They're targeting her return around the Rumble. They're saying the Rumble is when they want to have it set up. Next, Naomi, who as we all know the infamous walkout with her and Sasha Banks. No update on her. Contract talks between Naomi and WWE technically has stalled at the moment, but WWE can freeze her contract. She basically can't leave WWE until she come back to WWE, which they're probably going to do. They're going to freeze her contract. They're trying to work out a new deal. Still don't have no updates on Sasha Banks right now. So even though Sasha Banks been doing her own thing, she been like modeling and pulling. She's saying she about to drop a CD or something. Everybody want to drop CDs nowadays. Next, Kyle O'Reilly on learning how he talking about how he learned that he had diabetes. He had type 1 diabetes, and he said he found out about his diagnosis at 18 in the wrestling school for 6 months. He said he's going to wrestling dojos, he's weight training, he's eating right, working part-time as a cook. Then he said weight loss, excessive thirst. He said he goes to get a wrestling license in Washington. He said they're doing his blood work, and then they asked him, like, are you type 1 diabetic? He was like, no. Then the doctor was like, well, according to our test, you are. You are. So he said that they was telling him he couldn't pursue a career because he's type 1 diabetic. He said it's difficult physically and mentally. It's a recipe for disaster, but he didn't listen. He said it was his dream, it was his passion, it's something that he was determined to make a career out of. So he used his diagnosis for motivation and inspiration. So that's find out you had type 1 diabetes and then go ahead and still do a wrestling career despite everybody said you wouldn't be able to though. RVD talks about CM Punk having a big ego. So he was on Inside the Ropes where he was speaking on Inside the Ropes, and he shared his thoughts about CM Punk. He talked about his ego, and he said CM Punk has the biggest ego as anybody I could think of that I met in this business. I'm not saying that in a bad way. It depends on how you take it. But I think he believed that he really is the best in the world. And I learned years ago, strippers can be fun to date as long as they leave the gimmick at work and not bring it home and be normal at home. Analogy he used is true. He also said how the Benz look at somebody with Punk's type of ego. He said if you're able to come back in the dressing room and still be that guy in the ring, they'll say you really believe you're the best in the world. But it's like, dude, you're believing your own hype. Then he said that his mindset, he said everybody feels his energy. He said to those that make, he said these guys that make it to the top are guys who believe in themselves. They do the most promo work. They convince you to believe that they are the best. He said they also the ones I can't stand because they're fucking crazy. Crazy. I think RVD was scheduled to get a push like that, but we all know why his push got derailed.
Them trees, baby.
Yeah. DS had their 25th anniversary celebration, and of course, Billy Gunn was scheduled to show this show, but they did everything they can. But apparently, the hiccup was Tony Khan was gonna let him appear, but then I guess he wanted WWE to mention that he was in AEW, and AEW said no, so why he wasn't there.
Very petty.
Like that was back and forth. I mean, WWE said they could should have shown like the AEW logo on Raw. I guess they try to get something meet in the middle, but Tony Khan probably like, no, y'all gotta nod that he would
go like super duper small.
I don't know.
Like you ever seen the trademark sign that be at the end of like the name of shit? Like say you saw like Transformers on something. You ever seen that tiny R that be at the end?
Yeah.
That's just saying that's like the trademark sign. What if they made it that big? They had Billy Gunn real big, where it'd be AEW real tiny. And maybe that's what he was thinking. Like, are they gonna?
I don't think they. The reason I say I don't think he would play him because Triple H and Billy Gunn is tight. Like that's why. I mean, so that's the reason Billy Gunn wasn't there.
I mean, he called him a piss at company when they did the Hall of Fame.
Game of the year, which is the matchup between the Rams and the Chargers.
That game's gonna suck.
Chargers. Chargers. So
one team's gonna be playoff contenders and the other one's not.
So that's why he canceled day one, and that is it for all the news.
All right, we gotta start with Extreme Brazils. Extreme Brazils.
Yes.
All right, so this card started off with the Donnybrook match, which is in between Imperium and the Brawling Brutes. Basically, free fight with some props added to it.
No, we missed the first part of the match. Well, it wasn't the first part. We forgot about Dexter Loomis.
Go ahead.
And he gave Miz this back to we talking about Gritty. So Philadelphia Flyer mascot Gritty tried to bury the hatch with Miz. I don't know why he got beef with the mascot. mascot. He tried to give him a T-shirt. The Miz kept rejecting the offer. Outside Triple H office, Miz is basically beating up Gritty. Now he's beating up the mascot. Loomis stalks him, basically walks up behind him and chokes him out. Helps him out. So of course it's just Miz just been getting choked out like just a lot by Dexter Loomis.
Yeah, that was the storyline throughout the show.
Yeah.
Miz having beef with Gritty. He get choked out, and then I
thought you were talking about the I thought you said
after he got choked out, Gritty kicked him in the stomach as he walked away. Like, take this, you son of a bitch. Back to the opening match. Imperium versus Brawling Brutes, decent match. The big match, if you wanted out of this, was Gunther and Sheamus, honestly. It started off with the Tree of Woe for running dropkick. Kaiser was tied into. The rest of Imperium came over for the save. Everyone went for weapons from there. Sheamus got sent into various things on the outside. Kaiser and Vinci holding Sheamus over a bar. Gunther chopped away, hit the big boot before dropping him onto the said bar. Back inside is Butch and Howland getting beaten up, including a double running drop kick to Butch in the corner. As Imperium poses, Sheamus fights up, and it's time to wreck Gunther's minions. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit in the match because we're going through towards the end. Gunther's back up, hits the Shillelagh shot for 2 on Sheamus. The rest of the Brawling Brutes get back in. It beat down allows Gunther and start beating down Gunther, allowing Sheamus to hit him in it with a heck of a Shillelagh shot to knock Gunther silly. Gunther gets power bombed through an announcer table, leaving Kaiser to get the bro kick for the victory for the Brawling Brutes at 17 minutes 42 seconds. So basically, he got payback from the SmackDown match where he got smacked in the face with the Shillelagh behind the ref's back.
Next match was the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. This was an Extreme Rules match. Straight intensity. I mean, Rousey literally did not take her eyes off Liv Morgan like throughout the whole what's the name. Liv Morgan tried this damn thing with the baseball bat. She tried to use it again. Ronda just snatched it away from her, just tossed it again. again. Then we finally start getting some weapons. Morgan brings in a fire extinguisher. Rousey had takes a baseball bat, cracks her in the stomach with it. Then Morgan basically just went crazy on Rousey with a steel chair. I don't know how many times she hit her with the steel chair. Then it got kind of disjointed. They struggled through like spots. Morgan threw Rousey through a table with a senton bomb, and then Rousey turned near fall into an arm bar. And the sequence was Rousey switched techniques to some chokehold. Morgan passed out at the ref call for the bell.
As she was smiling.
Yeah, she smiled as she choked out. Yeah. So that was the match right there.
It was a little messy, but I thought it was a decent match.
Yeah, man.
Better than the review I'm reading says it is.
Definitely was messy.
Next match, Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. Karrion Kross had to cheat to win by the end of this one. It's a basic strap match between 2 people, so I'm going to skip ahead for some of this. Let's get towards the middle. McIntyre gets fired up, whipping and jumping a neck breaker, whipping and hitting a jumping neck breaker to drop Cross. Back up, whips the heck out of each other. Cross finally gets staggered. Future shock drops McIntyre, so he loads the force Claymore. Only have Scarlett getting away. Hits him with a pepper spray to blind McIntyre. So as I said, he had to cheat to win. The cross hammer running for him, the back of the head, finishes off Cross. Finishes off McIntyre for a Cross victory. A little bit after 10 minutes.
Hey,
Pretty decent match, but they got it over. It didn't last too long.
I mean, you probably was gonna make that match stretch a long time between them.
10 minutes is correct to me. That's
For a strap match, yeah.
Between two dudes who have enough gas to go at least a little bit.
Yeah, I think also too. I think 10 minutes is perfect because Karrion Kross been out the ring for a while, so it makes it perfect. Next match, Raw Women's Championship. Bailey versus Bianca Belair. Quick start, dueling arm bars. My biggest part of this was Bailey versus the young fan in the crowd because she just kept like going up to that young fan every time she'll do a move. Kept saying the fan suck. She's like, you suck, and like Bailey trying to like counting and everything. The fan like, you suck too. Like they was going back and forth. It was funny. They started using the ladder. Nice spot. Belair ran up the ladder against the apron, then basically laid her out on a flat ladder. Then does her standing moonsault. Bailey with a nice sunset flip into the ladder that was leaning in the corner. That was a nice spot. Bailey runs along the ring apron and lands an elbow drop across the ladder outside onto Bianca Belair. Then Belair removes a piece of her knee brace. Bailey attacks Belair for a piece of her knee brace. However, Belair reversed that to the KOD. Belair nearly captures the title before Damage Control comes out there. Belair beats them down. Bailey tries to sneak up, get their climb the ladder. It didn't work. KOD. KOD off the ladder while Bailey had a piece of the ladder in her hand. Belair climbs and retrieves the ladder. So, the only bad spot in this match probably was that she struggled doing a double KOD, but which makes sense though. Like
It's
two people. Like you can't like really think.
Then you hit one later with the person and the ladder. Next match they have is an I Quit match between Finn Balor and Edge. This is a good one, but we're gonna skip down to the end of this one because you know what everybody does with each other, so the particulars of the match doesn't really matter. So we get down to the end. Edge hits the spear. He's getting ready to set up. I forgot the name of his DDT, but he hit that too. Then he hit the spear. He's getting ready to set up Finn to say, "I quit." Eventually, Judgment Day come in. They jump him. They set Rhea Ripley to attack Edge with a chair as the rest of Judgment Day is holding him up. Who comes to the save? Wifey. Here comes Beth Phoenix. She comes in. We knew eventually she was probably going to get involved, considering that Judgment Day has a woman in their crew. So she comes in to make the save and starts beating down Rhea Ripley. Eventually, Rhea Ripley gets the better of her. I ain't going to say they, because, they don't let the men touch the women in WWE. Right. So we'll say Rhea Ripley put her down. Had her set up to do the concerto to her. And they're like, come on, Edge, say quit, Edge. Basically, say quit. And he was like, all right, I quit. All right, I quit. Just save my wife. They concertoed her anyway. Yeah. Beat him down with a chair one more time before they left, basically. And he's just crying for his wife's safety after that. So to end the match.
Yeah.
So Finn wins.
Yeah, he won. If he wasn't down that bandana he spoke called they got him wearing. Riddle versus Seth Rollins. Pit fight. Daniel Cormier is the special guest referee. Basically, Riddle comes, of course. Riddle starts us match out doing MMA stuff. Riddle get into a confrontation with Cormier. They have a little beef between them two back to prior to UFC days. Rollins takes advantage. Cormier threatens Rollins for laying his hands on Cormier. Rollins lays out Riddle. Rollins basically is beating the hell out of Riddle, including a nice RVD 5-star frog splash off the cage wall. Then start mocking him from the second level of the fight pit. They started brawling. Riddle with this nice rear naked choke with Rollins hanging from the suspension. Riddle dodged a stomp, hit Rollins with an RKO. Rollins rolled off the platform into the ring. Cormier was counting Rollins out. Bro time off the platform, standing choke. Rollins did everything he could, but unfortunately he tapped out. So Riddle defeats Seth Rollins, and then as soon as he raises his hand, arena lights cut out. Here come fireflies. That's when, of course, everybody turns on their flashlights on their phones. Starts singing. He got the whole world in his hands. Hands. All the puppets come out one by one. Then his mask appear on the announce table. Which was just a stand-in wearing the Fiend mask, so they faked everybody out. Then a creepy montage of a door. The crowd said, "Holy shit!" They thought it was Wyatt. Brand new mask, but it was. He basically stripped off the mask in his face, confirmed his return. Blew out the ladder, screen went black, with new logos flashing on the screen, and that was the way they ended the show. Well executed entrance. See, leave the Triple H to well execute something. Vince probably would have botched that up some kind of way.
Oh, I guarantee you. So next night on Monday Night Raw, more announcements. Oh, so they announced before the beginning of Extreme Rules that for pay-per-views for the rest of the time being, that is now going to be, as we talked about, Jimmy.
What?
His last name.
Uso? Jimmy what? Wait.
The announcer.
Oh, Smith.
Thank you.
Oh, you say Jimmy, I'm thinking Uso. Damn, bless you.
Jimmy Smith had been thank you. Jimmy Smith had been let go, so they announced that from now on, the pay-per-views is going to be Corey Graves and Michael Cole doing all the announcing instead of just switching like the SmackDown people and the Raw people, depending on whose match is coming up. Then they announced on Monday Night Raw the new commentary team will be Kevin Patrick. Shout out to What Culture. I said it like that for my man Adam Wilborn. He loves Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves will be doing the announcing on Raw from now on, which basically him and Byron switched spots and they got rid of Jimmy. Yeah. Byron's now the backstage interview.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. That was announced before the show, so I want to start off with that. So the show starts off, they're going to have a DX reunion. Minus Billy Gunn, obviously, but Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, X-Pac, Triple H here. Triple H is telling them that y'all can't swear out there. Y'all gotta chill, don't do penis jokes, no rubber chickens. And then they do some comedy involving those things right in the beginning of the show anyway. The Bloodline comes out, and they recap what happened on the segment last week with the SmackDown when Logan Paul tried to cause calamity in the Bloodline, saying, I thought Jey Uso was the big chief, the big dog, or whatever you want to call him. The first thing Reigns says, Jey Uso, are you a fool? Sammy cuts him off, which makes Heyman go ballistic. Reigns says that Jey is Sammy's responsibility. Sammy starts riding Solo Sikoa's wood, talking about how good he is. Jay asks if Reigns really believes this. Matt Riddle interrupts and wants a title match. Reigns says nah. Riddle volunteers somebody else to step up to the plate. Jay volunteers Sammy. Jay tells Sammy to handle his business for this match is set tonight. Move on from there. And the first match of the night, Austin Theory versus Johnny Gargano, going against his old daddy from NXT in the way. Gargano comes out, he's approving of the Johnny Wrestling chant. Starts with a rolling kick to the head. Slingshot DDT out the apron is blocked though. Theory hits a suplex. On the apron, we take a break back with Gargano hitting a slingshot spear for 2, but Theory drops him from there for the same. 8-count down is broken up, so Theory puts him into a Gargano escape. That's broken up as Gargano escape goes on by Gargano instead this time. With that broken up as well, Theory hits a super kick for 2. Then he says it's his time. Rolling into something cut off by Gargano suplex, and a running diving DDT to the floor that knocks Theory silly. Theory silly. Say that 3 times fast. One final beat by Gargano wins a pin after 8 minutes. Next match up, Rey Mysterio versus Chad Gable. Shoes, please. Otis in Gable's corner. Gable goes after the arm to start, but easily taken down to the mat into the armbar. Head scissors is put onto the floor, then a sliding sunset bomb. One of my favorite moves Rey Mysterio does. It's basically just sliding plancha. Sends him into the barricade. Here we have Rhea Ripley dominating Mysterio come out. They keep trying to tempt him to hit him with the chair. Hit me, Poppy, hit me. And eventually, he hits him instead. They come back with Gable hitting a German suplex or two before grabbing an ankle lock. With that broken up, Ray hits 619 slingshot splash for a fast spin. About 7 minutes 45 seconds. Post match, Ray gets surrounded by Dominic and Rhea. Dominic demanding Ray to hit him, as I was saying. Instead, he gets slapped. Dominic gets a slap of his own in. Rest of Judgment Day comes in, so Ray has to fight them off to Dominic saves Finn Balor from a 619. Dominic still demands Ray to hit him, and Ray goes to walk away. As a result, Rhea holds Ray's hands, and Dominic hits him with his own 619. It was pretty shitty looking 619 too, like he didn't really want to put full weight behind it on his dad and shit. They're trying everything to get Dominic over and get the Dominic versus Ray thing to work, which doesn't happen, mind you. You'll talk about this when we get to SmackDown, and we'll update that.
Yes.
Later this week. Judgment Day still in the ring bragging about Finn Balor making Edge quit. He says that I made the Hall of Famer quit.
Yeah.
All this, that, and the third.
If he still had his dang Tupac bandana on, stop having him wear that. It don't look right on him.
They say a recap of the match. Dominic said he did a concerto for him, which brings Balor down to the ring, and he says, "Here's the ultimatum. You gonna be with me or not?" Styles cuts the shirt and says, "You said I need some friends for help." He said, "Not even family." He drops to a knee in front of Balor to shake his hand, and he does, and he hug each other. And as he hug each